My name is Miro. I'm the founder of Manifest X community, the high-ticket client creation community, formerly known as the conscious entrepreneur community. And I'm so pumped to introduce to you my mentor, seven-figure coach, James Hodges, the founder and CEO of Next Level Coaches, who scaled more than one company to and past 7 figures and helped others to double their businesses. And including myself. We just talked about this, James, just 2.5 years ago. We were on an enrollment call. That's how we met. We were on an enrollment call, and I remember you asking me, Jesus, are you more committed to your fears or your dreams, Miro? I remember being scared as fuck and saying yes, and it's been scary and amazing, and it's been probably the best decision ever. It was my first ever mastermind. And so it's such an honor and a privilege to have you back and being able to read from the other side of this growth spurt and seeing you as a leader you've become, and to learn more about for our friends about what you do, who you are, and all that good stuff. And I can't wait to ask you some selfish questions. And I know at the end of this little chat, we have an amazing giveaway for some friendly listeners and watchers as well. Say a few things about you.
Yeah, what's up, guys? James Hodges here in Boulder, Colorado. Grew up in Auckland, New Zealand. CEO, co-founder, Next Level Coaches. It's the third 7-figure company I'm scaling past 7 figures. And we build 7-figure mission-driven leaders. So excited to be here, excited to support you. Whatever you guys need, just here to support you guys. Boom.
So take advantage, everyone. If you're in, drop a comment right now, drop a hashtag live, drop a hashtag replay. This is going to be a value bomb. I'm prepared to ask the selfish questions that I needed, when before I was where I'm at now, and I'm going to ask some selfish questions that I need right now. And so I'm inviting you to do the same thing, so that you get the most out of this time that we have with James. And there is an opportunity to learn more from him at the end of the call, at the end of the stream. So stay tuned, James. Talk to me about leadership. One of the things I admire about you show up so freaking congruent, full of integrity. I knew you were going to be here on time for this thing, there's certain things I just can't count on you for. And so I've always admired that. And so talk to me about the importance of leadership. I know many people talk about mindset, but I know it's more than mindset for you. And I would love to know your philosophy around that.
Yeah, totally. So for me, we say mindset's dead. Mindset is just up here, but there's so many other elements to our human being, right? Like trauma lives in different parts of the body. And so we call it embodiment. We developed something called the embodiment principles. There's 4 components: trust, worthiness, alignment. So trust, responsibility, worthiness, and alignment. Trust, responsibility, worthiness, and alignment. Those are the 4 key pillars that we can pretty much trace anything back to. And then underneath that is just love and fear, right? And so the idea of leadership is that most people, when they're going out and creating a coaching business or a service-based business or anything, even if they're just a salesperson for a company, they're usually leading with their selfish intent. And the truth is, most people don't give a fuck about your selfish intent, right? They only care about what's in it for me. So the most important word that you can use when you're speaking is you. When you're speaking in front of an audience, not speaking to 30 people once, you're speaking to one person 30 times. So leadership is this idea that when you put the mission, the movement, your why ahead of your own self-interest, you naturally rise into a state of leadership where people can feel your energy, they can feel how much you care, and they feel that you actually want to support them. And so they're much more likely to actually want to work with you and make the movement a reality versus when you come from a selfish intent, even if it's coming from a space of being subconscious.
That's such a powerful value bomb right there, right from the start. So I want to highlight and bold underline it. Really what it means is that when you make your mission, service, and impact greater than your sort of selfish gain, which is nothing wrong with being selfish, we need ourselves. And in terms of the abundance frequencies, right? Actually leads to serving more people and then having more for yourself. It's actually when you make yourself less than the mission, make yourself less than. And so can you maybe share a story or an example of how that shift came about for you in your life, or maybe an example of a client or something?
Yeah, so I think when most people hear this, and at least I was like this, it was I've heard that, Simon Sinek talking about like starting with your why and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think we've all kind of like heard this and we're kind of like, yeah, like I get this, right? But how many of us still have that like little voice in the back of our head that like that's kind of bullshit, or we don't actually like fully 100% live it with all integrity. Like we don't fully like 100% like no BS believe it, right?
Mhm.
Like there's still like a little part of us that has this like, I'm doing this so I can, because I'm going to get something by doing this, right?
Mhm.
And like for me, before I got into this, I helped scale a software company in the financial space from 2 to 28 million users in 3.5 years. And they had this just crazy powerful mission and why. And they would bring all these bankers, right? Like think about like corporate America bankers, right? You know, like the guys who are balding, like gray hair, like all those kind of guys, right? Imagine bringing them together in a room and just like how boring that room is. But these CEOs and these founders, they would speak and they would share these stories from such a deep place that by the end of their presentation, literally every banker in the room would be crying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like these like hard-faced corporate executives who are just like, right? Like don't show emotion. They're all crying. And when I like saw them doing that and I was like, oh my God, like you really have to have this deeper mission. I started to like get it. And it was still like intellectual for me. And it didn't really fully like land in my body, like full embodiment until probably a year and a half ago, right? Until it was just like, I learned my lesson enough times to realize I had to completely let go of myself in order for this thing to go to the level that we want it to go to have a team that will follow me no matter what, to have a client base that will follow with me no matter what, to have clients continue to be on our journey and just go nowhere else no matter what, to have amazing salespeople on our team who could go anywhere but just stay with us no matter what. And I realized the only way that could actually happen was by being completely releasing anything about myself and truly getting clear on leadership. And then also, particularly with COVID, like I imagine you can relate, the world needs leaders more than ever right now, right? Like if you just think about the level of uncertainty that's in the world right now, social unrest, pandemic, crazy election, fires, like all these things, the world needs leadership. And if the world actually had amazing leadership, we'd be in a completely different space. And that's what's going to help us navigate. So once I got really clear on that and realized, hey, this is what I get to do everything moving forward, everything's been way more fun, been way more flow, we've been way more successful. And just love my life way more.
Yeah, that's such a powerful story. Thank you so much. Like that makes so much sense, and I think it's way powerful. I mean, you know, like so I guess getting in touch with your why, but making it mean something. That's how you attract a tribe, whether it's an audience or a team of people who follow you anywhere and no matter what. So powerful. Yeah. Thank you. I needed that. So talk about. Do you have a specific next step for somebody who just wants to get deeper on the leadership? I know we're going to talk about scaling. You know, a lot of people here are here to grow their businesses and the impact. It's important. Yeah. And for just the leadership, like you broke down your principle, but what's something like tangible that people can do, actionable, that they can pursue in order to master that bit on its own?
Yeah. I mean, my first thought is that just like kind of pops into my head intuitively is do a 360. So a 360 is this idea that the people who are around you the most and the people you're closest with can give you radically honest feedback about what's working and what's not within your leadership. And to actually go and create either a survey or actually just ask them like point blank if they're willing to be open and being a loving interruption for you and giving you radically honest feedback around what's working and what's not. So you can get really clear on like what's in your gap from where you really want to be. Like, am I really fully showing up in integrity? Am I really fully showing up as a leader? Like, do people like feel it? Like, how do people actually feel in my presence? What is the energy, right? What do they actually feel when they come across me? Do they feel like I'm coming from a place of self-interest? Do they can't feel like I'm this leader that they would follow no matter what? Like, what do they actually feel when they're in my presence? And so getting clear on all these different questions and actually going out and asking them and getting all this feedback and then letting the feedback land. And realizing that feedback is just the gap between your current self and your future self. And it's actually amazing. And we don't have to get all defensive in our ego to be like, we can actually love feedback. So that's the first thing I would suggest.
That shit works. I would just want to underline that because I have done one and I can definitely do one again. I think something is good to do periodically because if you once you hear from other people without you having to ask them, it's probably too late. It probably means that you've already caused some damage, right? So do a 360 analysis on yourself, powerful, and asking those questions. I've done it. I think I learned that from a book, Hellrod's book, The Miracle Morning. And that's been a game changer when I was first starting with you guys, going through breakdown, burnout, and depression and everything, launching my business at the same time. And just that book totally saved me in terms of having a morning routine, but also getting clear on what the hell I want. So Keith, but if you're still watching, guys, drop a question or comment, like #leadership if you're down to do a 360 analysis, or if you're resonating with this. Talk about scaling, brother. So a lot of people in my community, they're probably at the scale where they're creating some high ticket clients, but possibly not consistent yet, or it's kind of still the roller coaster, right? So what advice do you have for the coach who's trying to launch the next level, starting to get past 3K, 5K, and then having that 10K months, like reaching that 10K mark? What you got?
Yeah. So
what's your best advice?
My best advice is the easiest way to hit 10K a month is to set a goal for 20K a month.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're at a plateau, no matter where you are, if it's 3K, 10K, 50K, 100K, you're thinking like someone who's earning 3 to 5K, right? As opposed to thinking like someone who's earning 10 versus 20. So the easiest way, like we track everything in our business, including all our client results. That's our most important metric. If we're producing amazing client results, then we've got a business for the long term, right? So one of our head coaches, he was hitting a plateau. And I was like, awesome. Like, what's your goal for this week? And he was like, this is my goal. And I was like, awesome, double it. Mm-hmm. And then when you double it, how do you think like that person who is playing at that level? How do you show up? Are you showing up for you? Are you showing up? How are you actually showing up? Right? What's actually going through your head? Are you in scarcity? Are you letting the past come up, the cash flow roller coaster, the doubts, the insecurities? Or are you truly showing up as that mission-driven, heart-centered leader who's here to create massive change in the world and people can ripple effect it, right? And then when we look at that, then we also want to break down, like once we've got our leadership in place, what are our levers? So the simplest and easiest place to get to 10K a month is just to get one client at 10K, right? That's the easiest way to get 10K a month. So, who is the client that you're serving? What is the dream client? What is the name that you call that person, right? Mm-hmm. What is the value that you're here to create for that person where it becomes an absolute no-brainer? And how do you release all the stories where you've made price and stuff about your worthiness? And how do you just focus on them and their value and completely remove yourself from the situation that when you show up on that enrollment call, you're so focused on them and their outcome that when you're like, yeah, it's 10K, it doesn't even bother you, and they can just feel it, and they know that's coming from a place of money is just a representation of commitment, and the price of their transformation is priceless, and so 10K is a drop in the bucket. So the easiest way to scale is not going and getting all these more leads, is not going out and doing all that more stuff. It's to get your embodiment dialed. It's to then understand within what you already have who could actually benefit from this, who's a dream client, and then how do you increase your price and your value that you create for less people and focus on less is more. That's the easiest way to get 10K.
I love that so much and resonate with that fully. That's been absolutely my experience. And I think a big part of it is too, it's a decision, right? People think that they need to do something else first before they can kind of like have the price point and attract they really want. But I mean, that's all story too, right? Or what's your perspective on that? Do you think it's like, because I know there's people who, see, this is a high ticket client curation community. So they're like, well, 5K, 10K, 25K offer, but like, that's not me. I need to XYZ first. Like, what do you think, like, what is your lens, your perspective on justifying price? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Totally. Yeah. So when anyone ever says that's not me, they have to realize it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the other person. So if you're to play in the sphere of like removing yourself from the situation for a second, and you're like, okay, who is that client? We're actually 5K, 10K, 25, 100K, right? It's no big deal, right? Like you obviously, like you don't want to be charging someone, you don't want to be charging 25K to someone who's like can't afford it. Like absolutely not. But the person where 25K is a no-brainer for them, and maybe it's a stretch, so they're going to show up and be committed, but it's going to create, over the lifetime in regards to their health, their wealth, and their relationships and all parts of their life, if we actually look at all parts of what is the value to that person across the rest of their life, because it's an investment. Mm-hmm. It's not just in the 3 months they work with you, the 6 or the 12, it's the rest of their life. So how do you get clear on who is that person and who's fit for that offer, and then focus on the premium people first? And then once you start bringing in more cash, as a coach, you probably really care about helping people and serving people. You want to help more people. right? But you've got to look after yourself first. And so you do that by focusing on high price, low volume, mid price, mid volume, low price, high volume, in that order. So go premium first, and you can work way down.
Oh, I love that. High price, low volume first. So first, like you mentioned, this is one of my clients and our friends, Nicholas Elliott. Like he, when he launched his own company, it was 20 students, 10K each. In 3 weeks, he made 200 grand. That's how he launched. Like 3 weeks of business, basically. He made 200 grand and filled up his Savage Fitness sales coaching business. Yeah. And I mean, clearly he had his leadership dialed in. He knew a little bit of sales. It's probably not everyone in here yet. But I can work just to share this work. And so share some of your favorite, perhaps, client stories, right? I mean, I'm an example of somebody who's come through your process, but like, what's some of the amazing, inspirational stories of people who come through your program?
Yeah. I mean, there's one that just like comes to mind immediately. Another Kiwi boy, his name's Jesse. He came to us and he was 7 weeks late for rent. He's got a 7-year-old son. And he just like didn't have the money to work with us, but he got ridiculously resourceful and he found it. So this was last July, and just had a crazy story. He was a health coach, was like really tuned into that, did really well. And that was kind of easy to market, right? Like lose 10 pounds, gain 10 pounds, whatever. It's like pretty linear, pretty clear. But he lost his mom in this cancer journey. And so that took him on this crazy spiritual journey. And he started to have an awakening, and he realized that he didn't care about just the body. He cared about the quantum, the physical, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional. And so he wanted to bring that out to the world. And he didn't know how to market it. He didn't know how to sell it. And he was having so many ups and downs because he just wasn't clear on his leadership. And that's why he was so far behind. But he went and got resourceful. He's like, I know I need to work with you. And so he went out, he got resourceful. He got the money to get the deposit. And then he was just like maniac on a mission. First 6 weeks created 100K. Next 2 months created 300K. And this year he's going to hit somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million in sales.
Epic.
It's just insane. We just had a New Earth online retreat. People like Marcy Locke, Regan Hillier speaking at his virtual retreat. Like 19,000 people there. 400 or 500K launch. Like just
amazing,
unbelievable.
And so that's I feel like I'm gonna let that one land. It's like so many people with like tuning in, like whatever your story is right now, right? You watching, whatever your 2020 story is, how it's maybe happening to you, right? Maybe this is happening for you because of somebody like Jesse with his 7-year-old son, right? Can have this epic turnaround from 7 weeks on rent to making hundreds of thousands and having huge, just also reputation, right? Being on the map. For that stuff's permanent. I mean, when you make a comeback like that, you're going to be noticed and remembered. So that's possible, so maybe tune into what has been your story and how might it be working for you. Brother, we got three more minutes. I want to make sure people have an opportunity to questions they have, even when they're coming in from the replay. How can people best receive support guidance from you and your team?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on some high-level topics today. I wrote like 59 pages on this stuff in more detail. So just go to coach-bible.com. Maybe Miro can share in the comments.
For sure.
Coach-bible.com. And yeah, we have a ton of knowledge bombs and resources in there, and it's amazing. Yeah, and there's a quiz. And if you want to get clear on like what's really holding you back, it's like 13 questions, super easy. It'll diagnose your biggest pain point. So,
boom. Thank you so much for that. That's super generous. Coach-bible.com. Dude, you're a legend. So the final burning question that I have selfishly, when you talk about, kind of like transcending yourself, right? I know you're big into breath work, and so am I. Like that's been something we've done regularly. What has been maybe your daily practice to getting into your leadership or transcending your ego, I guess?
Yeah, I do cold therapy or cold showers every day. I do breath work every day. And then I lead breath work with our team and our clients every day. And then we just set what we're grateful for and our intentions every morning. And we just do it just like it's just a machine, just every day. Yeah.
Boom. Intention is powerful. just before this call, James was like, help some people, and so that's an amazing habit. It's powerful, simple and powerful. James, thank you so much for showing up, brother. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure. I'm going to be in integrity with time today.
Nice.
I would love to have you back when we, another time when we're at 8 figures and have the check-in.
Love it, bro. All right, man.
Please.
Have a great day, guys.
Grab the Teaching Bible, everyone. Grab it. It's good. So that was James, my old friend. I'm so happy to have him on. Ask your questions. We'll make sure